If you don't know me, my name is Troy, or T-Roy as I call myself on this YouTube channel. I used to be very, very, very shy when I was younger. I took a public speaking class in high school, and the first speech I gave, I don't even remember because I think I blacked out. I went up there, I stumbled my way through something, got really nervous, felt myself tense up, and then I walked back to my seat and I didn't even know what happened. I didn't even know what I said. But by the end of it, I actually felt a little bit more comfortable maintaining eye contact with everybody in the audience, going around, being up on that podium. And that class actually kind of changed me a little bit. It gave me inspiration, it gave me hope. So when I was in college, I forced myself into a lot more social situations than I was comfortable with, being a shy person. And eventually got into, like dating advice, started going on dates, got into a relationship. And now I feel way less shy than I used to. So here you go. A lot of people think about being shy as like, I'm just shy. Have you ever walked up in front of a crowd? Maybe it was for school, like for a class or for a project or something, and you start sweating. And you're like, oh my gosh. Maybe your face gets a little white. You start like tensing up. You're just like, why am I feeling this way in front of everybody? Why does getting up in front of a group of people make me feel this way? A lot of people will rationalize and they'll say like, well, you should feel that way when speaking in front of people. But then how do some people speak in front of a group so effortlessly? Some people. Honestly, it's not that many people. But wouldn't you love to do that? If you'd love to do that, if you'd love to just get up in front of a group of people or be able to speak in a room full of people and have everybody listen and not feel self-conscious about it and actually feel very confident and comfortable and not give a shit, then keep watching this. So, because I've learned a few things being a shy person growing up and then pushing myself to talk in front of groups of people or two groups of people. What I've learned is I've thought about this over and over again for years, that like, you know how when you see somebody else do it, when you see somebody else get up in front of a crowd and they're really nervous, automatically sometimes you kind of don't really trust them as much, but then somebody who's really comfortable, you're like, oh, I'm enjoying watching this person. Other times you like sympathize with the person, I get it. Like sometimes you sympathize with that person who's really nervous, but there's still some part of you that doesn't really trust them. Why is that? Maybe as humans, we can just tell when somebody's nervous because they don't like public speaking versus they're nervous because they're trying to hide something. If somebody goes up in front of a crowd and they're trying to sell you something and they know their product sucks, of course they're going to be a little nervous. Sure, they can train over and over again to become a better speaker and to hide their nervousness as much as possible, but the likelihood is your intuition will tell you something is just off about this person. They seem slightly off, slightly nervous. Why is that? Well, they don't believe in what they're saying, right? When you're giving a public speech, let's take it personal now. Sales aside, like the person selling aside, that was just an example. Let's take you. Maybe you're watching this. This is actually who I really want to speak to, because this was me growing up, and this has been me a lot of times in my life. I'll be in front of a group of people, and in my head, I think, like, I'm very concerned about being weird. Like, I'm very concerned about what people think of me. And in high school, it was a little bit difficult for me to determine why, because I didn't really have anything to hide really, other than I sucked socially. I didn't talk to people a lot when I was younger. I was quiet, I was shy, so I sucked socially. I knew I had to, I don't even know if I knew this yet, but now I know that I had to learn at some point, and I think I kind of knew that back then, but I also knew that at that moment, I didn't want everybody to know that I was behind socially at like 15 or 16, because some 15 or 16-year-olds seemed smooth as fuck somehow. Maybe because they had practiced talking to people, they'd done extracurricular activities, they'd been social, they had gone to parties, they'd done stuff to where they had to socialize, they were just smoother talking in front of people. So, yes, it's kind of rooted in like comparing yourself to other people, but still, on the inside, my point is, I felt like I had to hide something, because I felt like if I just went up there and I released, I didn't tense up to protect myself. I didn't start sweating, try to act like, if my body didn't do that, if I didn't do that, then people would just know I was awkward or weird or couldn't talk in a way that people normally talk. I didn't know how to talk. I didn't know how to talk to a group of people and sound normal. I had shit to hide. And, right now, I don't know, I've brute forced my way to overcoming social anxiety, and I have overcome a lot of shit. Like, I don't feel like I feel like I overcame that fear. I don't really care if people think I'm behind socially anymore. Sometimes it still irks me a little bit depending on my mood, if somebody calls me like awkward or whatever, but I'll quickly laugh it off, and I'll remind myself like it's okay to be awkward. Because when you start embracing yourself, it takes away all anxiety because you don't feel that urge to perform anymore. You're just being yourself. So the reason I'm documenting this, and I might call it, because on this channel I talk about overcoming shyness and overcoming social anxiety, because I feel like that's an area of my life that I've really tackled. I have a lot of experience, like putting myself in new social situations when I was previously afraid to be in, doing things I was previously afraid to do. The reason I'm documenting this no-fap journey is because I feel like it's like one habit or addiction that like I do by myself, and I'm kind of ashamed to tell people I do. So it's like, of course, when I go in social situations, I'm always going to feel like I have something a little bit to hide. And by even being open about it, on this YouTube channel, it's kind of a sense of release a sense of relief, because now other people can just like I'm not hiding anything. I'm saying that I do have an addiction where at the end of the night, if I feel lonely, I go on the internet and I search for pornographic images, and I look at, and I know a lot of people do that. You can say that all you want. A lot of people do it, Troy. Whatever. Who knows if other people are looking at the same shit that I am, or fantasizing about the same people as I am, or whatever. The point is, it's a secret, and I'm like, and yes, privacy is a thing, and yes, you don't have to tell everybody everything about yourself, but when it's something that you're hiding and you feel like if it comes up in conversation, it brings up anxiety and you don't want to talk about it, and it's like, it causes like a weird vibe, and you're just like, ugh, can we change the subject? Like, I don't know. And it's like your friend's just like, dude, I just said a lot of guys watch porn or whatever. And I don't know, if it's something that you feel insecure about, I think it just helps to just be able to talk about it. Not that like you need to tell the world about it, not that you need to tell everybody about it. There's some context where it'd be highly inappropriate to tell people some of the things that you're addicted to, or some of the things that you do in your spare time. But to be like controlled by the emotion of it, the anxiety of it, it's just not the life that I want to live. So that's kind of why I am going to document this, and why I want to be open about it, and why I'm kind of like pushing myself to say, hey, I went 3 or 4 days, or I went 7 days, and I relapsed on this old habit, because it's kind of embarrassing. But like the more I do it, the more I'm just like, you know what? Okay, the months are going by, and I'm saying where I'm at. I'm being honest and open, and I'm fine. I'm still here. Look at my hands. I'm still here. I'm still alive. I didn't blow up. I didn't die. None of that happened. So it's kind of facing that fear. Anyway, I have no idea what I'm going to title this video. Oh yeah, I think it's Why You Get Stage Fright. If you get stage fright, sure, there might be some parts, like you might think you're awkward, or you might shake uncontrollably a little bit when you're in front of a crowd. But why would you care unless you were insecure about that, unless you weren't embracing that part of yourself that gets nervous in front of people? What are you not embracing? Like, that's the main question. What are you not embracing? What are you trying to hide that it would bring you so much relief just to be like, yep, that's part of me, and just to acknowledge that? And you don't have to acknowledge that in front of a crowd. You don't have to do that while you're public speaking, like go up there and tell everybody all your secrets and everything that you do in your spare time that you're ashamed of. But to yourself, like if you acknowledge that about yourself, you'll start to feel better about yourself, and you'll carry yourself in the world, including in front of groups of people, in a way where you're just more relaxed, because you're like, this is me. I'm me. Even if your body's tense in front of a group, you're relaxed within the tension. Does that make sense? Like you get up there and let's say you look a little nervous. You're completely okay with the fact that you look a little bit nervous. Of course, you're public speaking. Duh, you're nervous. But like, you see what I'm saying? You're just bringing yourself as you are. And that's what I think makes people trust other people even when that other person's nervous, because they're embracing who they are. I followed some like YouTube pranksters on YouTube back when I was in college, and one of the people that brought me like a lot of confidence was this guy that did like these social pranks, and he knew he was awkward, and he just like went in social situations anyways. And that was he made a show of it. I was like, damn, this guy's got some confidence. And the more that I started to notice that wherever I went, the more that it just clicked with me. Oh, like, it doesn't matter if this person's flawed. It doesn't matter if they're awkward or if they're smooth or if they're this or that or the other. They're bringing themselves into that interaction. They're just, it's like the same person that you are right now, sitting in bed watching this or sitting on the couch watching this at home. If you were to just like, drop in front of a crowd of people, like, there's nothing wrong with bringing that same person there because that's who you're bringing, I feel like a lot of people get nervous public speaking because they think they have to put on a show. They think they have to be great. They think that the content that they're giving is supposed to be perfect. But yes, there is preparation. Like if you're the point of your speech when you get up on that stage is to relay information to everybody. Yeah, of course it's the right thing to do or I think it's the right thing to do to relay that information to people in the best way that they can understand it. Explain it until they understand, like the audience. Have a conversation with them so they walk away with something at the end of that speech. However, when you're talking about you personally, you're going to feel good no matter what if you bring the best, not the best, but if you, let's say you prepare a lot for a speech and then you get to that, like there's no reason to be nervous when you get up on stage if you take what you have prepared and you give it to the audience. And in school, that means, let's say you've had a week to prepare and you've put together what you've put together. Well, now it's time to give that speech. What you have is what you've got. Same thing with your personality. Your whole life, you were born into this world. You talked to maybe 3 people. Let's say you grew up in a small town. You talked to your parents and a sibling. You didn't have any friends. And now all of a sudden, you are in a position where you're going to give a public speech. You are what you've got. Let's say you grew up and you talked to more people. You grew up in a city. You're used to talking to people. You're frantic. You bring that person in front. That's what you've got. You are what you've got right now. You've been preparing for this moment your entire life. So if you go up there and you're, and you acknowledge like, okay, well, the person I brought to this public speech, this presentation, could be a little bit more this way. Like you have a desire to be a little bit different, like a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more outgoing, a little bit more prepared next time, a little bit better at communicating your thoughts so that the audience can understand you. Then you can acknowledge that and start doing other things like talking to more people or practicing communicating your thoughts so that next time you bring a more prepared version of yourself. But as for like today is always going to be today. There's today. Let's say you're not that good at speaking. Today, you're bringing who you are in front of the audience and you're relaying information to them, or you're giving a speech about yourself, about whatever. A month from now, let's say you spend the next 30 days practicing communicating every single day. You go talk to a new person every single day. You join a public speaking club like Toastmasters. You go up in front of 10 or 15 or 20 people, however many people are in the club. I've joined clubs that have like 5 people, clubs that have like 15. And I know there are bigger clubs in bigger places with like 30 or more. So let's say you do that for 30 days and then you're like super prepared and you're like more confident. You're like, still, same thing as 30 days ago. The present moment is always right here. You're bringing that person in front of the audience. Like, you're just putting that person, just kind of like I'm plopping. Like, I feel like I could definitely, I could have prepared this video better. This is kind of like an off the cuff video. I could have definitely communicated my thoughts better over the course of this video. But this is the person that I'm bringing before you. And that's it.